Man, I don't know, man. Like everybody has got their posts, they've got their tributes. Every poster on Twitter has some kind of tribute to MLK today. Um, all the corporations have got their corporate tributes. The FBI's got a tribute. The CIA's got a tribute. Have y'all seen that on Twitter? ICE has got
Wait, I got the most egregious one.
ICE has got a tribute. Look at that, y'all. Today, ICE honors Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s message of hope, justice, and equality.
No.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
No. The worst part, you can hardly see this on the screen probably, I don't know. But on that little picture, it says the time is always right to do what's right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. It's really, I mean, they're committing crimes against humanity over there at ICE. Like
really, like, this is gonna go down in history as
international trial type crimes.
I mean, there's been so many bad things that people have done to each other that it won't even be like top 10, but it will be like among still some of the worst
human atrocities
ever.
In the history
it will be top 50.
There was a time when you would be at your elementary or middle school and hear about those kind of experiments, and the teacher would be like, yeah, we don't do that shit anymore. And it turns out not so true. But, anyway, everybody's got a tribute. And like when they said, hey, what are we doing for the show? We're talking about Dr. King. We can either do like a biography episode, which maybe is kind of interesting, but like feels like eating vegetables. Or, we can go in this other direction where we're just talking about him. I don't have a lot to add because when we talk about like the impact, especially living here, like it's just all that we talk about all day and every day is this kind of shit. So it feels a little inauthentic for us to be like, let's take a day to remember Dr. King. Because like, I mean, literally we're just out trying to do things and encouraging people to serve each other all the time.
Yeah. It's definitely a weird day. Like, it feels like it probably should exist on some level, right? Like, because, like, the idea of it not existing, like, we know it was worse, but, that the fight over it was significant in terms of, like, there were a lot of states that held out.
Yeah, and not only, like, they're just letting that stuff be allowed in certain states of the union now. They just got that fight over with. There were some states that were so
literally, do you know the first year that all 50 states celebrated MLK Day? 2000.
Yeah.
2000. That's not that long ago.
I know Arizona got on in the late 90s. Listen, it's just a total mess. Can you even imagine? And also on top of that, you also have to think of all of the states in the South that were like, well, we've got to have a Beauregard Jackson Slavery Day on the corresponding date on the solstice or some shit like that. There was always some sort of just evil bullshit attached. So listen, you got today, and that's cool. But at the same time, I can imagine someone who was raised in it and of a certain age, like not feeling like they're getting a lot out of this day. Especially because of the world we live in right now. And like we got institutions that like clearly Dr. King's ideas are not like on the throne here at all.
No.
No. So like, what are you doing this day aside from like reflecting on like how messed up things are?
Just posting for clout. I mean, let's be real. A lot of these fucking organizations and people out there, they're just posting for clout, and it's like
a fundraising day. It's a holiday. Listen, and look, to be fair, people are home. They're looking at messages. I see some people in our network have been posting like crazy all day today.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking. Listen, if actual like Black people, Black creators want to like take today and say, hey, it's MLK Day, support Black creators like me. I'm not going to be angry at people like that.
Yeah,
I'm talking about fucking ICE.
I know. I'm just adding that also, like, if you are a Black creator, you think about that every day. Like that's an everyday issue.
Yeah.
Is like how much are we leaning into? Because everybody who is online plays a character.
Sure, I can agree with that.
The people who are really successful online are simply the ones that have leaned into their character. Because you're establishing a level of consistency once you are a certain way and behave a certain way, and people feel like they know you. You have a brand. And it's harder to do that if you're just online posting your thoughts, I think.
Yeah. I think sometimes I'm still a little too just genuine on Twitter, probably, to have like a huge account.
Yeah. You know what I think? I think part of it is like when you talk, when you're mad about things, you talk really firmly from a standpoint of personal indignance. You do not usually like drag people like in an audience friendly manner. You do not do like a lot of, hey, look at this idiot witty repartee. Like you're usually talking about how like things make you feel, which isn't always, although like you obviously are hitting these fucking great fucking burns all day. People love to retweet that shit. But like when you're beefing with somebody, like when you're actually upset, you talk about yourself more than like the other person.
Yeah. That is kind of my way.
But that's not always, Twitter loves slam dunk kind of shit.
Well, here, you want a slam dunk take? Today is like Aaron Carter, that's how I beat Shaq for every white Twitter poster. You're just making up a story about MLK that you're listening to it. You're like, I don't think this is true.
I don't think this is true. You really hit a 3-pointer on just the art of that shot seems very difficult. The physics. Hey, listen, there are people. Kennedy, can you do like physics? Are you a physics person?
Not like ultra deeply. I do have like 200 hours in Kerbal Space Program.
That's good enough. That's good enough. Rachel, you're here, I think. How's it going?
Oh, it's great. My physics experience is that I was pre-med, so I've taken a lot of it actually. Because it's a weird thing, right? This is just like one of the many things that's wrong with the way the Academy credentials things. They have these things called weed out classes for like if you want to be a doctor someday. You also have to prove you're really good at physics first. For when you need to like calculate the trajectory of, I guess, a syringe, you're like using some weird Rube Goldberg machine to give somebody a vaccine with.
Sometimes, listen, like coronavirus has hospitals overrun. Doctors are just running past rooms with the vaccine, just
they're throwing them like Hawkeye. You've got to have really good aim.
This is why they have the weed out classes.
Rachel, it's basically like you're running a weed out class every time that you're on this stream.
It's kind of like that, except for that I get even less out of doing weed out classes for the Academy.
Well, you're getting a lot out of doing the weed out classes for us.
Yeah.
You get the weed, and then you're out. It's great. It's fucking great.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Rachel.
Hello. Okay. We're talking about Martin Luther King Day. Unfortunately, like every institution in America, and I use the word institution in a very value neutral sense, it's just been totally like corrupted. It's nothing like the thing it was designed to be. It's just like a marketing machine.
Yeah.
The only holiday that survived is Halloween because it was never good to begin with. It was just designed as a way to make some money.
Look, because not being allowed to participate in it, Brandon, doesn't mean it's not the best holiday, which it is.
No, listen, Rachel, first of all, Halloween is great in terms of my personality. I dress up as a priest.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah, and
that's some excellent sacrilege you're doing.
So listen, and all of the crazy girl. Right? Okay, so I'm fine with Halloween personally. I'm just talking about in terms of its relationship to capitalism and all that other nonsense.
I mean, the worst holiday is definitely Thanksgiving, though.
I think this just depends on how much you individually dislike your family and the travel and the procedure.
No, the worst
Listen,
holiday.
I live 5 minutes away from my entire family, and we have a blast every single year. But Thanksgiving is like explicitly celebrating genocide.
Oh, you mean worst in the value sense?
That's
I like in a Gestalt sense, really, like
Right.
all of the above.
Sure, I think that's totally
Yeah.
fine. Listen, but let's talk about the unique ways in which MLK Junior Day, which by the way, hard fought to even have it as a day that people recognize,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which can't be ignored. But now that we've got it, how's it being ruined? Like, like the CIA's posting about it.
Seriously?
Oh yeah,
That's amazing.
ICE
Has
has
the
got,
FBI said anything?
yes, yeah, and
Amazing.
ICE has got like an MLK tribute
The
graphic.
FBI was quoted as saying, "Just because we killed him doesn't mean we can't miss him."
Right. Like, just
So
staggering.
so
Amazing evil.
yeah.
Yeah.
And shameless. Shameless
Shameless.
evil, which is even worse.
Shame on you, evil.
So do you think that the FBI is actually going to do anything about the insurrectionists? Like, I know that a shitload of people are getting arrested, but a lot of the cops have just been released without bail at this point, up to and including, I don't know if he was a cop, but the guy running around in the, like, Camp Auschwitz t-shirt. Just without bail, even. Just free to go.
No, the FBI is going to post about how MLK wanted the Capitol insurrection or something.
Yeah.
That's
that'd
what's
be
going to
great.
happen today. That's where we're headed. We're just headed straight to hell world, no breaks.
Yeah, you know.
I don't know.
I've heard some people expressing optimism about the Biden administration, and frankly, I wish I had their innocence.
Same.
Listen, I know we talk about this all the time. I'm not going to spend the next hour with you talking about innocence, corruption, impending death. I refuse. Rachel, you got to find in the next 45 minutes something that inspires you, or you have to do something else.
Like,
You got to go if you can, if our subject for this hour is about militias and shit. So what else you got?
Well, every time MLK Day rolls around, I just do a bunch of quotes that are designed to make the white people mad. That's what I do.
Do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, it's like up on my Twitter right now. I quoted
Oh
him.
God. These
Yeah,
are
I
good.
know.
No, this is great. Let's see what you got.
Unfortunately, with my Twitter following, I don't think anybody's mad. I think people mostly just agree with me. But let's see, what's a couple good ones? We can't solve our problem now until there is a radical redistribution of economic and political power. That was MLK.
Let's go.
Let's make fake MLK quotes for the good MLK Day that we're celebrating
An
today.
MLK quote generator sponsored by Denny's.
Yes. Progress is incremental, brothers and sisters. I know that you spent a long time in line waiting for that $2,000, and the Democrats, they immediately just snatched it right out of your mouth. It's almost like your dog, and they're balancing the little bone on the top of your nose, trying to see how long before you lick your lips and get that treat for yourself. You feel like a joke. You feel like an obstacle. But let me tell you, Elizabeth Warren's running in 2028. In the Warren way, we can win with Warren. I know we didn't win last time. Not in a lot of places, not in a lot of cities, but nowhere at all. But it's coming, and we've got to be patient. There's a guy in South Carolina. He's running the DNC, and he's gonna set this straight. I'll see y'all next year. It's been real. Peace out, everybody.
You know?
This feels like MLK by way of Pete Buttigieg. What's happening?
We have high hopes for
It's actually, they're going to do a deep fake one of these days, and Pete Buttigieg will be the one playing MLK for the deep fake. You know, like you have to map it over somebody else's face for it to work, right? They're going to use his. And he will say during his interview with Lin-Manuel Miranda that it was absolutely the proudest moment of his life.
Listen, Rachel, this is the doomsaying that I was talking about. You're just infecting us through cult. You know what? This is probably better. Listen.
But the idea that Pete Buttigieg and Lin-Manuel Miranda are going to be friends, because I would be surprised if they aren't already.
Pete Buttigieg and Lin-Manuel Miranda collaborating on a musical. We should probably go back.
MLK.
I probably feel better about the Joe Biden stuff now. That sounds horrifying.
See, they'll do it. Hold on. They'll do
Pete
a reversal.
Buttigieg as a Martin Luther King deepfake present Roots the musical.
Wait, no. This is gonna be, see, they're gonna do a reversal. See, Hamilton was the musical where traditionally, people, because they were historically white, that would be played by white people or played by black people.
I already see where this is going.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, he's going to turn it around. The MLK musical starring Pete Buttigieg.
All of us have already individually done enough today.
Just imagine if it was happening to white people. This is deep.
I want you guys.
Wow, so deep. Oh my God.
Honestly.
This is like that.
That might still have been better than Hamilton.
that is a complete genre of Oscar bait. Of like bad things are happening, but imagine if like white people, they were happening too.
Yeah.
Literally, that's an entire genre of entertainment, and it's critically revered. People actually that's considered like high art when you want to win an Oscar.
Cringe ass British.
So is Hamilton, but it sucks.
Where they were like, what if the Africans did imperialism instead? Do you remember that?
Yes, they're still making that. Are
they still making that show?
Yes,
no.
Yeah, man. HBO Max.
If I have the ability to cancel something, I want to cancel that.
That and these are from HBO Max, which is the studio that approved the Confederate show a couple of years ago. Can you guys imagine Weiss and Benioff as Game of Thrones is collapsing? As that last terrible season. Although I did like the ending. They're having that, and then Confederate rolls out around the same time. This would have been one of America's biggest pop culture nightmare disasters. Like those guys would have had to actually been in fear of their lives. They're so lucky that they decided to go do something else.
If not for Game of Thrones' last season being so bad, you mean?
If in the alternate reality where their show about the modern Confederacy had been approved and filmed, those two events could have been happening at the same time. And the consequences for those guys would have been like disaster. So they're very fortunate that someone convinced them that was ridiculous.
Not enough guys have consequences these days.
Seriously. And you know what's so fun? They're doing Star Wars. Like you can only go upwards. We live in a world that's so free of consequences. As long as enough people have eyeballs on you, just statistically, one of those people will give you an opportunity that you don't deserve.
I've talked about this before. Like once you grift your way into a certain level of like fame and money, you're just accepted, and it doesn't matter if you keep screwing people over because you already won the game and you're in the club. And like you could be shitty forever after that. You could be absolute trash for the rest of your goddamn career and still be praised like an asshole like Sean Connery or someone like that, right? Like nothing was able to make him fail back down somehow, even though he was like a wife abusing, drunken, racist piece of shit, just running around being a trash man everywhere he went.
Yeah, and on top of that, we're not just talking about our entertainment, although like, listen, we can come back to that because how many bad movies come out from Hollywood that are made by people who have already made like 6 terrible movies. Like all those terrible X-Men movies that always come out, and it's the same guy, freaking singer, and he's been making terrible X-Men movies since the year 2000, and he's a sexual predator.
Which one, right?
Yeah, there's so many of them, and the president of the United States that's incoming is also another guy who got enough clout and rode it all the way to the top, because he wasn't doing shit as the senator of Delaware and the chair of the Armed Forces Services Committee. We know that because he ran for president, got beat like a drum, got beat to sleep. Just a clout ride all the way to the White House, which would be fine. Like, listen, history does just roll the dice in some people's direction. We can look through any kind of book, and sometimes it just lands in your lap. Freak coincidence. Yeah. But you know, but when that happens, try to do some good with those freak rolls of the dice. And when we go through history, usually the people who get those freak rolls of the dice end up being super shitty and corrupt.
Yeah.
And this guy.
Well, so listen, I have what I would call, I guess, like a unified theory of modern marginalization. And in it, right?
It sounds like the AntiLife Equation from Dark Side. What do you got?
So, all right, hear me out on this, right? There is like an archetype of the ideal man, right? Who's white, wealthy, you know, neurotypical, able-bodied, like all of that stuff, right? And my sort of theory of marginalization around that is that you can kind of think of it radially. And so like every single part of your identity that is different from that like idealized archetype is one less chance you get when you fuck up, right? And that's how people who like, you know, might have like 1 or 2 degrees of marginalization, like, I don't know, the Amy Therese's of the world, or like the like Hillary Clintons of the world, right? Like they can eat shit. They can absolutely eat shit, but it's never going to be as hard as the faces and names you don't know, right? And so that, I think, goes a long way to explain how somebody like Joe Biden ends up in office, right? Because he is that archetype. Well, he just is. He matches it perfectly. And the other things he's been accused of fall away in light of this, like, you know, figure representing the sort of idealized man.
Well, you know, the people that put Joe Biden into office, a lot of them are marginalized people, and were low-income people that just, you know, Trump was coming and they held their hands up and they said, like, we'll take the absolute least we can get. You know, some of you guys have seen Deal or No Deal. You've seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You're like, boy, you're gonna cash out $1,000? Yeah, man, I need $1,000. This thing goes all the way up to $1 million. Dude, come on. Have you seen my life? 1,000, please let me out of here. And there's a lot of work that goes to, you know, getting people to a place that they can even like say, this thing goes, wow, I'm getting crumbs. This sucks. And you talk to anybody that is in this situation, like talk to them with a camera off. They're like, yeah, I'm getting crumbs. This sucks. Even the libs. Like, sure, there are like, you know, maybe a 10th that are Twitter brain, and they have just eaten that stuff up so much. And a lot of them are just people who like are you know, the Victorian era, like the fainting couch era, where you had so much like cultural guilt that like you just were overwhelmed and you couldn't do anything, and you were just sitting there feeling your guilt and fainting.
To be fair, the fainting lounges were actually mostly because women pulled their corsets so tight they literally couldn't breathe and were going hypoxic.
Okay. But in
also
addition,
because of the drugs that were popular in that era.
That's true. They were all up on the
in addition to that, there were like physical conditions that were came from their lack of mobility and lack of activity.
Yeah.
And so you've got people who are in a similar social class now who are just posting, and they do not want to like reckon with their role in things because they don't have even the mobility to even address it. They, you know, without sacrificing their standard of living. And so they're just parroting like the stuff from, you know, the DC think tank that really very few people actually care about. But this small group of people who live online have the same $1 million BS excuses that the talk show hosts have, so they can all like read out the same thing. But aside from that small demographic, people know they're getting a raw deal and are willing to acknowledge it. I don't know. They are. But can they do anything about it? And do they feel like what they're doing matters? That's harder.
Yeah. I think they do, honestly. I think these people do think they're making a positive difference, though. You know? Like, even...
Some of them do.
Well, I know many of them do, and it's good that Rachel admires their innocence. But they're not innocent. They're not stupid. They're not making their calculations out of, like, a lack of understanding of how the world works. And they've experienced those things pretty intimately.
Yeah.
I might not be able to speak eloquently about the academy. I have experienced the way the world works.
Yeah.
And when people choose optimism, they're not choosing it out of innocence or naivete. They're choosing it out of determination. Because if you are somebody who's in that position, your alternative is to die. I know lots of people who die, like Rachel, like they're alive, like they live. Drive through, like you've driven through my neighborhood, you've driven past people who've died, and they walk, but they're dead. And that, like, if you really want to accept, if you want to be, live in those situations and be realistic, that'll be you.
I see what you're saying,
and
I appreciate you saying it.
And a lot of people who are, black lower middle class and do and say shit that sounds ridiculous and kind of cringy. We all get on, and I'm a leftist, so I love to make fun of fucking LLC Twitter. They're incredible historical shitheads. But however, even when someone is being a shithead and being ridiculous, part of what we have to do is at least try to ask ourselves where it might come from, and then we've got to say, like, is this a healthy place to come from? And by the way, let's take this conversation in another left turn. Maybe it's not healthy that people feel this way. Maybe it's bad if you're like in the lower middle class and have hope in this thing. I don't necessarily think so. But like, are there people who are willing, who live there, that are willing to take that on? Because the people who are like, and Rachel, this is not you, but people on Twitter that are like trying to, kickstart shit, unfortunately, are folks that fucking do not live there.
Yeah.
And like, and there's a handful of people who do live there and do want to kickstart shit, and they are on lists,
Yeah.
Actually, I found out that I'm on some GBI list.
We're all on lists. Oh
yeah, like I got confirmed. A friend released something they got with the Freedom of Information Act, and I was on the list. I was just like, I see.
I see.
It doesn't surprise me at all. I did show up at the Capitol with the guillotine.
Yeah, but also, dude, like, anybody who looks at your file will not take you as seriously. Unfortunately. That sucks, because like, you are as serious as anyone in this room, but they'll be like, relatives and phase, and put the file down and roll their eyes.
But that's kind of part of what I'm banking on, right? Like, I am banking on having that kind of access and privilege and using it against them.
Sure. I think something, if we're gonna really like work on uniting people into struggles and like things of that nature, which I feel like is at the core of everything we're kind of talking about right now.
Sure.
Then like, I will say, like, I'll tie this back to MLK a little bit, because something that he talked about a lot that I think is incredibly important was, just ideas about forming communities that weren't about just strength and what you could bring to the table as like your only value.
Yeah. Can I cut you off for a second?
Yeah.
Because when I gave that last speech, I probably cut it off a little bit too early, because, I said, you know, and those people that do live there and do take it seriously, they're on lists. And then we had a laugh track, and then we moved on. But I
Yeah.
can also say, but seriously, comma, it's okay. Like, because what those groups do is actually super duper duper important in town. Like, and these are not like always large organizations. And unfortunately, because they're so like overstressed and overworked, like mutual aid groups tend to be. And this isn't like exclusively mutual aid groups, but I'm just talking about like people that are in that part of town. They're just way too overstressed to do promo, and a lot of them don't know how to you know, do promo 2020, you know.
Yeah.
And it's important that, you know, if you are someone who lives in that part of town, to go to a couple of those meetings and see what people are about. Also, most of the stuff is happening on Zoom. People think that like Black people don't know how to use fucking Zoom or something, but like everybody knows how to use Zoom. It's all this is on the same platforms that you're probably already using. And you know, if you've got free time, I always say like pick 4 things that are holding meetings. Everything in the world is meeting on Zoom. You can go to freaking anything in the world on Zoom right now and sit in a room with them. You can go and listen. This is not
incredible opportunities.
Not to talk for too long, but like we retweet Comedy Hub Live sometimes, and like literally, maybe you're having a bad day. Listen to some people try to be funny and try to cheer you up. But also, if you're looking to organize, like find 4 things that are happening in town and just sit in the room. And if you're in 4 different rooms, like you know which room is the room that's fun and like stuff that you like to do, and you don't have to say shit if you don't want to. Super easy to do.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry to have done that entire super rant. Yeah, city council meetings are also on Zoom nowadays. Yeah, I didn't want to take away from my just original point of just like, yeah, experience.
No, yeah, and I mean, we live in an unprecedented time of opportunity to just experience things like that, and to just learn from other people. If you want to give any credit to the amazingness of the internet, if you want to give any credit to just like the amazingness of the internet, it's in a lot of ways the fact that like you could go out there and just learn about a group that you know nothing about without having to necessarily have them in your neighborhood or know where to find them in your state or something like that. And like that's a type of freedom that like we have not had very much of in the past. And it's something that like a lot of people just kind of take for granted, that it's just kind of there, and that maybe they're just kind of absorbing enough of it through the general osmosis of being online. But actually, if you don't properly take advantage of these resources, you are missing out. And like, if you want to like be the best comrade you can be in all of these kinds of things, it's so easy for you to just go sit in on organizing meetings and Zoom calls and shit like that and just listen to what these people have to say. It's never been easier.
It's like you're in a Zoom call now with us, really.
What is this?
What is this but a Zoom call?
So yeah, I think I don't know. I think you have a really great point there. Just that like we do have a lot of opportunities right now. And I know that like there is often this pushback. Sometimes we even push back on it of like, is being online a lot organizing, you know? And like, not really, but at the same time, if everything is online, then the organizing is online. And like, it doesn't mean that you can get it all done without anybody ever showing up in a place physically.
Yeah.
But like, you can, you know, show up to Zoom meetings, fill out forms, you know, keep track of stuff on a spreadsheet for people, do these things over the internet.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It takes all skills.
Yeah.
Rachel, like, you know, in Atlanta, a lot the saying has always been, don't take the day off, take the day on. Did you and your family ever take days on when you were young?
I've literally never heard that before.
Oh, you've never heard the phrase "take the day"? So there was no like when it was Martin Luther King Day, you just stayed home and relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
That's super great. See, this is what the hell I'm talking about. I didn't even get to celebrate Martin Luther King Day because everybody at the school is like, you've got to do activism on Martin Luther King Day. That's the way that you celebrate, is by going out and, you know, picking up trash or giving people soup and shit. God damn it. I want the day. I'm taking the day off. I'm taking the day off. From now on, I've sacrificed enough. Rachel lives on the other side of town. Ain't doing this shit. Like,
I'm sorry.
Actually,
I haven't even heard of that as a thing. While as I like living fucking near Auburn, not like super close to Auburn Avenue, but like near Auburn Avenue, we're out here hauling ass on Martin Luther King Day. It's bullshit, man.
I can literally see a carving of Confederate generals from my house. Like, we're gonna be a little bit behind y'all, I think.
That's true. Also, yeah, to be clear, that wasn't like me talking about, you know, I'm just talking about you're also surrounded by just the worst. Just America's worst people living around. I don't think we give that enough due. You're just surrounded by just America's most toxic. What's that forum where all of the crummy homeowners hang out at? Nextdoor, just the most Nextdoor.com type people.
Yeah, Rachel lives in Nextdoor IRL.
Nextdoor is a lot chiller than Facebook out here. There's a Facebook group for this area that I've been kicked out of now because I called too many things racist that were racist. So
that seems like the only way to get kicked out of Facebook groups nowadays.
Yeah,
or to be the president of the United States, they finally get around to you.
Yeah, you know.
So
I did grow up with the worst.
You know, this is interesting because I think this could tie together with the point that I was going to make earlier and then I forgot to finish making about like strength versus vulnerability. Yeah. And like a lot of times there's this perception that like the only way to be allowed into something is communities of strength. And I actually want to walk back something I myself said a tiny bit, because all too often when I talk about encouraging people to organize, I encourage you from this perspective that everybody has a useful skill, because I'm trying to do that in a positive sense. That's not always a positive thing to say though. And I'll tell you this too. It's fine to just be a warm body at the meeting.
Yeah, man.
You don't have to contribute shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to just show up there and say, hey, I believe in this. Maybe I need to be here because of, you know, things that are going on in my household or my community that I would hope that could be fixed.
That's too many words.
I don't have much to contribute, but I'm here.
Kennedy,
it's okay if that's all you have to say.
Yeah. Kennedy, as a veteran of you just show up and you're just like, you guys need help? And somebody will be like, yeah, man, let's do this. And you're off. You have a new friend.
But I'm not even talking about showing up and saying something. What I'm trying to talk about is people who are showing up and they can't necessarily offer to do anything.
That's a good point.
And I want to make it clear that those people are welcome to, and in fact, like just showing up and saying I support these movements can be really crucial in terms of like we just need the numbers sometimes. Yeah, we just need to be able to put on a piece of paper that 10,000 people supported this or whatever. Yeah. And you know, it's okay if like all you can do is show up because like your needs are so great. But like we should be there for those people. And I'll say this too, and this is a call out that a lot of people on the left aren't necessarily going to like. When we talk about creating communities of vulnerability instead of communities of strength, that includes stuff like wokeness. Being really woke and demonstrating that wokeness is demonstrating a strength to let you through a door. It's not demonstrating a vulnerability.
Yeah. I was talking about this, I think I was tweeting about this recently. When we say like meet people where they are, right? That's not just about like accepting what they don't know yet, right? It's about actually like showing up for them from a place of like kindness and friendliness and like sincerely engaging with these people, you know, making the contributions to their journey into being a better person or being a more competent person or being a more involved person or whatever, to make those contributions, you know, meaningful and thoughtful and constructive. Like, we need to have fun. We need to figure out how to have fun, like, with each other. We need to figure out how to be like playful with each other. You know, we have so much going on in, like, you know, discourse where people will hit up against something they disagree with and just shut down. You know, we can't keep doing that, I don't think. I think we need to learn how to really engage with each other.
Listen, you guys, engage with the comment box. Engage with that thumbs up button if you're watching on YouTube.
That's true, yeah. And if you're watching for the first time and you haven't yet, engage with that subscribe button.
Engage with that subscribe button.
Do it for Brandyn.
Please do it for me. Like, if I, like, literally, we all get the email, we get the little alert every time somebody subscribes, and it's so lame, but we're like, yeah, all right, we got it. Especially, you know, Martin Luther King Day. Actually, if you're trying to celebrate the show, just DM me directly, because I don't think I should be sharing, you know, that Martin Luther King Day cut. It's be all me on that day, but yeah, just send it over. I'll buy myself like a beer and a half. It's a wild city. Listen, thank you, Justin. I love to see it. Every little bit counts, and keep watching because we do good stuff here.
You know, if we were really good at clout, we would have rolled out the reparations shirt today.
No, well,
and for those of you who don't know yet, the reparations shirt is a plain white T-shirt with small black text on it that says reparations. It's going to cost $100, and most of the money goes directly to Brandyn. You're welcome.
What a great idea. Well,
yeah,
don't worry.
You're welcome in advance for your new favorite T-shirt.
We'll put that out in February. It'll be fun. And we started this episode, Rachel, and you were here just talking about, like, how much should we engage with holiday capitalism nonsense?
Yeah.
Because but everyone, we're all kind of locked in the pit together, right?
Yeah. Well, I think no matter what type of holiday we're talking about, no matter what, like, occasion it is, corporations are going to try and co-opt it. You know, they're going to try and turn it into making money for themselves. You don't have to participate in that. You know, you can make this your own thing. You can use this time towards things that you find personally meaningful, towards things that actually, like, embetter the community. You know, we don't have to buy, you know, the Starbucks MLK Frappuccino or whatever.
So, listen, I'm not going to come to your house, slap it out your hand. I know them things is expensive. Just remember that there's no law that says you have to. And the culture that's around, like, whatever cultural thing you think is around, like, our holidays in general, it's literally just advertising. It's just literally every company is rolling out a certain set of colors on a certain day. Very little of it, like, unless it's Christmas and someone's putting out a tree, very little of, like, what you see around you reflects you know, it being a certain holiday. And I don't even know if even in the things that we do or the time that we take or what we, you know, I don't know if is there Christmas cheer anymore? How many years has it been? You know, maybe when we were kids.
I couldn't even tell you.
There was a time when you could walk
something about Christmas.
I mean, back when there were malls, back when you could walk up a place and see people were more cheerful. And sure, that was just money too. Like, I'm spending money, yeah. But still, even artificially, like, you could walk the street. You guys walk the street in December in Atlanta, like, it's just cold. That's all it is, no matter what day it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the wealth isn't there anymore. You know, like, people don't have the money anymore. People don't have the ability to go outside anymore.
Holidays just all feel fake now.
Yeah.
And also,
or like a chore.
Yeah.
A lot of them feel like a chore now, which is just the opposite of what they're supposed to be.
It's possible that we're also just describing adulthood. Like, I don't know to what degree that's true because we don't have, you know, enough outside perspective on this.
Right.
But also, like, once you have to pay for the party, like, the party becomes maybe slightly less fun. I don't know.
I think though, like I think that if we as like millennials and Zoomers in particular were more economically solvent, then it would be fun,
Also,
right?
yeah,
Like throwing a party, if you're not
parties are fun.
financially stressed, throwing a party is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Now I know some people are extreme introverts and would say I absolutely would not want to do that. That's fine, but like you know, for a lot of people, throwing the occasional party, having a bunch of people come over and hang out with you and making them have a good time, and they're all, you know, praising you. Hey, thanks for hosting. You know, you're a great friend for letting us all come over, that type of stuff. Those are all good vibes, right? Like those are good feelings.
Yeah.
The main problem is that when you're looking down the barrel of like, I make minimum wage, or some shit like that, or even just like I make $12 an hour or whatever. Because let's be real, I mean, at this point, with the way inflation's been going, especially lately, like a living wage would be like $25 an hour or something at least. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you're not making at least that much money, and you're looking down the barrel of expenses and not knowing if you can keep your housing and all this stuff, it's really hard to be like, yeah, I'm gonna spend $200 on, you know, chips and you know, cleaning supplies and plastic cups and booze or whatever.
Well,
like
that's true. That like you're describing the financial roots of a lot. But however, let me also propose this: the dopamine that we are getting, you know, from holidays in the past, which is like seeing your friends, which used to, like, you know, in the 70s, you guys would all live like away from each other or whatever, or seeing your friends was like a big drive. You talk to your friends now all the time, playing games with your friends, like that stuff that used to be like precious childhood stuff. You're 30, and even though it's not exactly the same, because like you don't keep in touch with everybody as much as you should, but you are in touch with human beings. So like, even though we have lost some of that culture of like spending time together, the stuff that's in its place isn't like, I don't know if that's been financial, like psychologically ruinous for us as a civilization. Maybe it has been in some ways, but like it could be worse. Like, I'm glad that a lot of people, like, if you physically, you know, we were talking about disability earlier, and there are a lot of people who, like, prior to the internet, just physically would not have been able to, like, have friends. Like, it just would not have been able to happen. And now, like, you can.
I mean, I think the internet in particular has become somewhat of a safe haven for neurodivergent people, you know, because that's a lonely life, you know, when you fundamentally see the world so differently from everybody around you. Like, you get to choose between, you know, masking or risking alienating them, and neither of those are like safe or comfortable choices, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, it's tough. I will say this though. I think that we can make different choices in terms of how we engage with social behavior. A lot of social behavior, as dictated by our parents and their parents for around these holidays, it was, as we've been kind of hinting at over and over again, is about money. How much money can you spend to like sort of impress other people or to make someone else happy type of stuff. And this translated into all kinds of stuff, including like elaborate engagements and things like that people used to just be so obsessed with. And I think one of the problems that we have right now is that a lot of people would like to figure out how to be more engaged and have more of like a in real life social life, especially once the pandemic is over. But too many people have internalized this very fear-based, individualistic, atomized type of behavior and living that it makes it hard for them to do the kinds of things that would let you have those same experiences without spending all the money. Because, like, for instance, you know, the communities that understand this would be like, for instance, like Southern Black church communities that have potlucks and things like that. They understand that nobody needs to be rich to have a party, right?
Right.
And there are other groups that understand that. But a lot of people in America, they want to live this extremely atomized existence where they don't really have to like coordinate with other people, rely on anybody else. Like they want to be their own island. And
it's that rugged individualism thing.
Yeah, and it turns out that, folks, that is a really lonely way to live.
Yeah, it is. Well, and I think worse than that, you know, these same people find themselves, you know, unable to make friends after a certain point. You know, they don't know how to connect with people because they've never really had to like flex those muscles, so to speak. And so, you know, you have these people who are desperately lonely and don't even know where to begin just forming real relationships with people. It's tragic, you know, and it is so just anathema to the nature of our species, right? Like before anything else, we are a social species. Anything else. And we're in this, you know, situation where we have completely divorced ourselves from that essential element. You know, there's no way to live that isn't miserable and cold when you are denying like what is at the foundation of really your entire cognitive structure.
It's very well said. Listen, I think we've had a good show today.
It's freaking unnatural is what I'm saying.
And we should hang out. We should do some other stuff. We'll talk after. But you guys should continue the conversation. Follow us on Patreon. We have a big archive of post shows. And we know that it's only a handful of people that have listened to those. Go back into the post show archive and enjoy like dozens and dozens of great programming. And you can also join our Discord. And follow us on Twitter. We're doing all that stuff all the time. Be part of the universe that we've got going on here. It's always fun. Yeah. We'll see you next time. That'll be on Wednesday. And we're going to have some special guests.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good. We'll surprise you like tomorrow, but it's